Irma comes to the city of Talon, hoping to earn more money. She's happy to see her cousin Lonnie again, who lets her stay at her place. The next morning, Lonnie takes Irma to the printing shop where she works, hoping she can get Irma a job. But when Lonnie speaks to the foreman, he makes a questionable request. Irma sees them go into his office, and her curiosity leads her to peek inside. She's shocked by what she sees. Later, she asks Lonnie about it, but Lonnie avoids the topic and only says that Irma got the job as a cleaner. On Irma's first day, the foreman blames her for a paint spill. Their argument draws the attention of the boss, Rudolph. He's intrigued by Irma's confidence. Instead of punishing her, Rudolph gives her a note with an address and says there's a better job waiting. The next day, Irma arrives at the address and is surprised to find it's his home. He tells her his maid just quit and hires her as the replacement. With guests arriving soon, he tells her to get everything ready and warns her that they can be difficult. At the party, one guest, clearly drunk, notices that Irma looks too serious. To get a reaction, he knocks the tray from her hands. Glass crashes to the floor and the room goes quiet. Instead of blaming Irma, Rudolph calmly tells the guest to clean up the mess. The guest agrees, but continues to tease Irma by tugging at her apron. Uncomfortable, she tries to step away, but ends up backed into Rudolph. She stays still, unsure of what he might do. But instead of being upset, Rudolph gently tells her he understands he knows she's upset too. Then he says sorry for the guest's rude behavior. Still unsettled, Irma carefully steps away and starts picking up the broken glass. Later, as she passes through the hallway, she catches a glimpse of Rudolph kissing a woman. The sight makes her think he doesn't take things seriously. The next morning, Rudolph finds Irma asleep in the kitchen. He pauses, quietly watching her before gently waking her up. He tells her the last guest has left and thanks her for her hard work the night before. Later, at Lonnie's house, Irma shares that she's moving into her employer's home. Lonnie is sad but supportive, encouraging her to take the chance. Irma returns to Rudolph's house, not knowing someone is secretly watching her. Once inside, she sees the place is empty. Rudolph hasn't returned yet. With time on her hands, she wanders into the study, flips through some of his books, tries one of his cigars, and even plays a few notes on the piano. Still feeling restless, Irma wanders into her employer's study and begins writing to pass the time. After a while, Rudolph returns home, and Irma quickly hurries to prepare his meal. To her surprise, he invites her to eat with him. Hungry and tired, she agrees. As they share the meal, Rudolph gently mentions that he saw part of a letter she had written to someone named A.D. He admits he was curious, but tells her words were powerful, so much so that he believes they deserve to be published instead of the usual sad headlines. To show his support, he gives her a fresh notebook and encourages her to keep writing. Grateful, Irma thanks him. Later that night, while walking past Rudolph's room, she catches a glimpse of his back and notices several old scars. She says nothing, but the image stays with her. The next day, A.D., the man who had been secretly watching her, approaches Irma. He reminds her of what he believes was a promise to return home. But Irma firmly says she never made such a promise. She explains that she doesn't want to go back to life on the farm. Disappointed, A.D. then brings up their past and suggests they try again. But Irma gently refuses. Her feelings have changed, and she's not looking back. That afternoon, a woman shows up at the house asking for Rudolph. Irma tells her he's at the printing shop. The visitor seems disappointed, then looks closely at Irma and guesses she must be the new maid. The woman warns her. She says she once worked for Rudolph and claims he tricked her into getting close to him. According to her, he often flirts with his employees, and Irma might be next. Worried, Irma later speaks to Rudolph about what the woman said. He denies everything. He looks upset and says someone is trying to damage his name. Still unsure, Irma asks him directly if he has any hidden intentions toward her. He says no. To clear things up, Rudolph explains that his former maid tried to take money from him. He says people have taken advantage of him before, and because of that, others find it easy to spread lies about him. Later that day, Irma meets with Lonnie and tells her what happened. They talk about Rudolph and his past. To Irma's surprise, Lonnie believes the man. She says his looks and wealth probably make people cling to him for the wrong reasons. Then, Lonnie suggests that Irma should consider being more than just his maid. But Irma disagrees and quickly turns down the idea. Later, Irma and Lonnie go to a theater to watch a romantic film. Irma clearly enjoys it, but Lonnie reminds her that such stories don't happen in real life. That night, Rudolph wakes Irma and asks her to get ready. He tells her to bring her notebook. He has a surprise for her to show his true intentions. They head to the printing shop. There, Rudolph shows her something special, a part of her poem being prepared for printing. He explains the steps, then lets her pull the lever that starts the machine. Irma watches in awe as her words are printed on paper. Rudolph reads the finished piece aloud and praises her writing. Irma, feeling proud and shy, reaches for the page, but he playfully holds on to it. A quiet moment passes between them, full of unspoken words. Before anything else can happen, another worker enters and turns on the lights, breaking the silence. Elsewhere, Adi unexpectedly runs into Lonnie at a bar, an encounter she clearly didn't want. He tells her he's working with a group trying to change the country's laws for the better. He then asks for her help in getting back in touch with Lonnie. But before they can continue, one of his companions rushes in and pulls him away. Later, back at the house, Rudolph invites Irma to his room and shows her 3 glass jars holding leeches. He explains that he uses them to cleanse himself, believing it helps remove bad thoughts and past mistakes. That's how he got the scars on his back. He asks Irma to place one of the leeches on his shoulder. She agrees and carefully does so. While she helps him, Rudolph quietly asks if she thinks less of him because of his strange habit. Irma calmly says she doesn't if it helps him. That's what matters. Then, without warning, he gently takes her hand and comments on how her hair smells. Feeling uncomfortable, Irma quickly leaves the room. Alone in her space, she tries to make sense of what happened. Though she feels uneasy, part of her can't forget the moment. The next day, Rudolph says he needs her help once more. He also apologizes for his behavior. Irma brushes it off but firmly warns him. If he crosses the line again, she'll leave for good. A few days later, Ida asks Lonnie if she has spoken with Irma. Lonnie says yes, but explains that Irma is very busy with her work and doesn't have much time for visitors. This frustrates Ida. He insists that Irma belongs in the countryside, where life is simpler. Lonnie disagrees. She says Irma should be free to choose her own path, but Ida doesn't listen. Just then, another man approaches Ida and quietly hands him something. The strange exchange makes Lonnie uneasy. At the same time, in Rudolph's kitchen, he thanks Irma for being someone he can talk to. He says their daily chats help him deal with life's stress. Smiling, he suggests they switch roles for fun. He'll cook dinner tonight. Irma laughs but agrees, though she's unsure of his cooking skills. Her doubts are confirmed when he cracks an egg too hard and it splatters across the table. Trying not to laugh, Irma helps clean up, wiping his hands. But as they stand close, Rudolph misreads the moment and tries to get closer. Irma quickly steps back, but the movement causes them both to lose balance and fall. Shaken, she gets up and hurries to her room, beginning to pack her things. Rudolph follows, asking her not to leave. But Irma, feeling disrespected, says she's had enough. He's crossed the line too many times. At Lonnie's home, Irma cries, fearing she's just one of many in Rudolph's life. Lonnie comforts her. A month later at the theater, Rudolph asks to talk. Irma refuses, but he insists he's serious and proposes. Surprised, she says yes. Later, while having breakfast, Rudolph worries about printing campaign posters for a political group. Irma advises him not to help if he doesn't believe in their cause. He's torn, but recalls his father's advice to stay open-minded. Rudolph tells Irma he left money for her to buy what she wants, saying it helps him feel connected to her things. While Irma adjusts to married life, AD struggles with his losing fight against the government and quietly mourns Irma choosing someone from the other side. Lonnie comforts him, and they grow closer after he kisses her. 2 months later, Irma breaks a teacup that belonged to Rudolph's grandfather. He suggests hiring a maid to prevent more accidents. Irma tries to convince Lonnie to take the job, but she refuses. In December, Irma finds Rudolph teaching their new maid Elsa to open wine, which makes her uneasy. Their marriage shows signs of strain. Rudolph criticizes her appearance, and on her birthday she scolds the maid for serving food late. Irma starts to speak, but Rudolph interrupts, saying the guests have arrived. Elsa tries to leave, but Rudolph insists on carrying the plates himself. Irma watches them with a cold look. She then happily hugs Lonnie, surprised to see Adi with her. Lonnie quietly says they're now a couple. Irma smiles and wishes them well, avoiding tension. Irma leads them to the guests and introduces them. Rudolph jokes about the freedom fighters ruining the evening. Adi defends the group, but Rudolph mocks their slogans and influence. Irma adds that people from the countryside are strong, which makes Adi pause. Hurt, Lonnie leaves quietly to the kitchen. Rudolph finds her there refilling his wine. Rudolph sneaks closer to smell Lonnie's hair while pretending to get a drink. That night, Irma tries to get close, but he gently pushes her away. Later, Lonnie sees Rudolph with another woman and warns Irma, who avoids looking. At home, Irma gives Rudolph a gift, but he says she wasted money. She cooks a special meal, but he doesn't come. Still hoping, Irma checks Elsa's room and finds a note from Rudolph to their maid. Heartbroken, she cries at dinner. The next day, Rudolph claims he worked all night. Irma asks if he's unfaithful. He denies it. Irma asks Rudolph again where he was. He says he was working at the printing house and tells her not to doubt him. Irma says Lonnie saw him with another woman, but Rudolph calls it nonsense and accuses Irma of jealousy. He also blames her for still writing about her first love. Tired, Irma says if he must be unfaithful, he should at least be honest. Worried, Irma tells Lonnie, who urges her to leave Rudolph, revealing that he smells Lonnie's hair at the party. Irma gets angry, accusing Lonnie of jealousy, but Lonnie insists, seeing how weak Irma has become. When Irma comes home, she finds Rudolph and Elsa acting close. Elsa quickly packs and tries to apologize, but Irma angrily sends her away. Her husband says their marriage is over and they should separate. He admits he was never happy and they are too different. Irma begs him to stay, but he loses interest and leaves. Upset, she breaks one of his jars. Meanwhile, Lonnie watches Adi searching for his gun, worried about his captured friends. His head is bleeding, but he focuses on finding the weapon. Lonnie gives him the gun and tells him she's pregnant. At first, he says nothing, making her sad, but then he smiles and talks about starting a family. Soon after, they visit Irma, who seems empty inside. Lonnie supports her, while Adi vows to make Rudolph pay for hurting Irma. The revolutionist rushes to the printing house and angrily blames Rudolph for hurting Irma and others. Rudolph denies it and insults Lonnie. The revolutionist tries to shoot but finds no bullets. In anger, he stabs Rudolph and then flees. Before dying, Rudolph writes a last note for Irma. Later, police tell Irma and Lonnie that the revolutionist was caught. Shocked, Irma leans on her cousin for support. 11 years later, Lonnie lives quietly with her son, named after his father. Irma lives with them, writing a book called Life and Love, inspired by her late husband's last letter. Then Irma learns the revolutionist is out of prison. She wants to greet him, but Lonnie embraces him first. As they reunite, Irma feels torn, thinking about the life she might have had.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay connected with us.